then you get a little video that tells you about it. So you can use the object itself. There was a really good one that I went to recently on a ship in Bristol, which you could walk round, and you could open various doors and things. As there was one, as you came to the toilet, it was just open slightly. As you pushed it, there was a voice from inside saying, "Go, clear off, clear off." So there's lots of little tricks that you can use to get people to engage with sound they don't expect, and this is one of them. So they don't expect to hear a voice when they open the drawer. In a positive way, so that you can use those little tricks quite effectively. Okay, more seriously, this is where we're increasingly been going in the last couple of years, which is with QR codes and near-field communication codes. You don't need to know too much about the technology. All you need to know is if you've got a smartphone and you point it at that little thing, it launches a piece of oral history on your phone. They're increasingly being replaced by these NFC codes, which is like an automatic activation as the phone gets near. You don't need to scan it. It picks up that there's a piece of oral history there and it launches it on the phone. So this was an exhibition of craftspeople, which is a selling exhibition, and what we did is we put these little labels alongside it, which is an oral history interview with the person who made this silver object, talking about how he made it. And all you have to do is put your mobile phone there, and up he pops, and you can listen to him speaking, and it's loaded from the British Library's website. So it just points at the British Library's website and launches a little clip from the audio. It's very cheap, very easy to use. I mean, there's no cost apart from the code, you know, in terms of the installation. And it's a really good way of getting sound into all sorts of places. You'll see them all over the place now, QR codes. Let's use them for oral history, you know. Okay, a couple of things about video. This is the Holocaust exhibition at the Imperial War Museum, which is currently being redone because it's been up for quite a long time now. I'm not going to say too much about video unless anyone asks me, but the same rules apply. You know, give people somewhere to sit, make it a discrete area, give them some images. People tend to sit and watch videos longer than they do listen. So some of the rules are slightly different in interpretation. This is a really good one, again from the Museum of London, where instead of a screen they've used projection, and I think it's a much more dynamic way of presenting it. And this is a woman from the Refugee Project, and you can see here that it's oral history and there's clips, and there's text running alongside as well for people with hearing difficulties. Again, a really good example, I think. So this is a summary really of what I'm saying. I'm going to finish then with a few outdoor examples. If you're going to put oral history into galleries, tell people how long the audio is, preferably show them how they can increase the volume or decrease the volume, provide context to the speaker, tell people how old the person is that's speaking, give them an image, give them a sense of what they can expect. If they don't like the look of it, they can click quickly onto the next one. Put sounds next to relevant objects and photographs, but equally be wary of unfortunate juxtaposition. There was a museum in Glasgow of religion, and they got into lots of problem by putting an oral history piece next to the wrong object. I won't tell you which one it was, but it was very unfortunate matching. So just think about the juxtaposition around the gallery. But above all, let the oral history do the work. You know, you don't need curatorial introductions and people telling you, just edit the oral history and let the oral history speak within the gallery. And then a few key technical issues, some of which I've talked about: seating, make sure it's vandal proof, people can't steal the headphones, which they do. So some people will put things on iPods and things, put them in the gallery. Well, what happens? They get stolen. So you have to think about some of those sorts of things as you're going along. Okay, a few final things just to get you thinking. We've already heard a bit about oral history, and in many ways using oral history inside is easier than using it outdoors, but there's lots of examples now of the way in which you can use oral history outdoors. This is an early one, which was a Graham Miller installation. He's actually an audio artist, and he created a whole series of clips from oral history interviews, which as you walked around this area, as you walked past these lampposts with headphones on, you would hear the voices of people as you walked around. And you can see what it was about. This is an area of London which there was a motorway which was put right through the middle of the community. So you can actually go to the bridge over the motorway with your headphones on, and you hear the voices of the people that lived underneath the tarmac of the motorway. So again, it's using oral history to reconstruct that community in a very vibrant way by being actually in the community itself. Great example, it's still on their website. If you're interested in Jewish community in London, you can go to the Jewish Museum website and download this app, and it's about tailoring and men's clothing in shops in London, in Soho, and you can go on a walk around Soho, and as you walk into particular geographical locations opposite a shop, so you hear audio clips popping into your ear through your mobile phone. There's lots of these now. We've heard of one in Volos. There's a few others that you can look at that I can give you examples of, but I think this is a particularly good one because it's very located to a particular place. Now, have you heard of listening benches? These are a fairly new innovation, and these are solar-powered seats which have audio built into them, and they have buttons on the back, or some of them are motion activated, so people sit down on the seat, they start to hear oral history. So, unsuspecting people in the churchyard in Essex, hoping to sit down quietly on this bench, will suddenly hear local people speaking to them about living in that particular community. And they're putting these benches all over the county of Essex. And they're relatively low cost, they're solar powered, so you don't need electricity, and they can only be push button, and they're increasingly ways of bringing oral history into public spaces. And they're quite fun. If you're interested, Essex Sounds is the place to find that. Other things, this is a wind-up one. So you wind this thing round, and then you press a button and you can hear, in this case, rather dramatically, you can hear Second World War aircraft noises, air raid sirens and things within this particular. This is a bus stop in Cleveland, in Ohio, where people go and get information about the next bus. What they're actually getting is all this local oral history about the little Italy that was very near to the bus stop. So I guess you do get your bus information, but you're also getting oral history clips on the bus information. It's a touch screen. So they've sort of used a slightly subversive way of, exposing people to oral history when they don't expect it. And it's had some success, actually. Now, this is a really innovative way, I think, of getting oral history out of the museum, out of the archive and onto the streets. Very subversive. So these are actors, and they're playing roles based on oral history interviews, and they're being planted in public places. So this one is the most recent one. This is First World War soldiers, and on the anniversary recently, they all went out in gangs and pretended to be First World War soldiers in stations, and they sat around, and when people talked to them, they were in character, and the characters that they were in were based on oral history. So people were absolutely aghast, frightened. These were the Kindertransport, the Jewish Kindertransport that came in 1938 after Kristallnacht. Similar idea, except they used music in this one as well. So you can see how you can put oral history and memory sort of quite as I say, subversively, in a challenging way, in places where they're not expecting it. Okay, they might go to a Jewish museum to expect to see an exhibition about kinder transport. They're not expecting it on their way to work in the morning. And they were really brilliant at making people think and exposing them to things. And these guys were obviously singing the First World War songs, which when you get a group of men together, it's chilling, really, you know, very evocative way of using oral history. And this might be my final slide. Shopping bags. Now you laugh, but this, why not? Now this is before they started to charge for carry bags now. You have to pay 5 pence now, and I think there's just something going on in Greece that, yeah. So maybe get in there before you have to pay for your carry bags. So this is the Museum of London again. It's from the refugee, and these are oral history clips on the bag. So there's a little one about markets or something. But the thing is, people keep bags, don't they? Take them around with them, and it's a really great way of getting oral history used. I haven't got time to talk about web things, but we'll talk more tomorrow about that. So it's been a romp through. I hope I've given you some ideas and some things to think about and put them in some sort of theoretical context. And no doubt I'm massively overrun, but thank you for your attention.
The definition of oral history presented by you includes everything, and it is like that. But I wonder how, let's say, the idea of an artist, on his inspiration, or on how his piece of art works, is actually oral history. Just curious.
Difficult for me to answer that because yes, I do have a very broad definition.